So I would like to invite up to say our blessing over the candles on page 120, our visiting, returning home guest person, Miriam.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu v'tzivtav v'tzivanu l'havus Shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallow us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen. All right, and now we turn to page 138 and 139 to welcome in the Sabbath bride. As is our custom, we sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and when we reach verse 9, I invite you, if you are able, to rise and face the door and imagine Shabbat as a beautiful bride or queen coming down the aisle to join us in our sacred time together. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, hishmi'anu el hamyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, v'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat chila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Hitorari, kiva orach kumi ori, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha uvetzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Please be seated. And now, we've welcomed in our Sabbath with our opening our hearts with the opening nigun, lighting the Shabbat candles, and welcoming the Sabbath bride. And we are ready to fully segue into our evening service. And tonight we're going to jump to something a little different and do the Shabbat evening 2 service. So go ahead and turn to page 263 for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabba ve'alma divrach irtev yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael bagala bagala uv'izman kariv ve'imeru amen yehesh me Rabba mevarach ve'alamu amei amaya yitbarach yitbarach ve'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yiromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha barichu leila min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma ve'imeru amen. Please rise in body or spirit for the Baruch Hu on page 264. Yai da 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 yai da 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 yai da 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 yai da 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 yai da Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. We continue together in the English on page 265. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you, and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. On page 266, we read responsively. In each age, we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment, we are addressed by the world. In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. On page 267 is the Shema, followed by the Ve'ahavta. Please prepare yourself for these words of Torah. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha Bechol levavcha, uvechol nafshecha, uvechol meotecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavecha, hayom alevavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, Uvlechtecha b'derech, uvshachecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot beinenecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. Leman tiskaru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'hitem kedoshim Elohechem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, v'hiot lachem Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem. You may be seated. On page 269, we read responsively. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. When will redemption come? Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei feleh, nora tehilot osei feleh. Malechutecha ra'u banecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze'eli anu ve'ameru, ze'eli anu ve'ameru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai ga'al Yisrael. Page 271. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true safety and protection, and in your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 272. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. We come now to the central portion of our evening prayer. The tefillah begins on page 273 and continues over the next few pages. Please rise in body or spirit. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rav lehoshia. Morid ha'atal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, Lomatir asurim. Umekayem emunato lishenei afar micha mocha ba'al gevurot umido mehalach melech meimit umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman ata lahachayot hakol baruch ata Adonai mechayeh hakol Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom hallelujah selah. Baruch ata Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated. And we continue on page 278. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Be gracious, Adonai, our God, to your people Israel, and receive our prayers with love. Oh, may our worship always be acceptable to you. Fill us with the knowledge that you are near to all who seek you in truth. Let our eyes behold your presence in our midst and in the midst of our people in Zion. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose presence renews Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechinato leTzion. On page 281, we read responsively. For the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the desire in us, which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful. For all these things, O Sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulechana lehodot. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. V'tov b'necha livarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit uv'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Baruch atah Adonai hamevarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We take a moment for silent prayer. You might use the words on pages 283 through 285 or the meditations of your own heart. Yehi leratson imrefi v'hagyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri Vegali. May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable to you, Adonai, our rock and redeemer. We turn our thoughts now to those who are ill, injured, or recovering from surgeries and in need of our prayers of healing. We have on our Misha Berach list Rosalind Cantu, Nick Joliot, Ira Dornfeld, Erwin Marcus, Stephen Katz, Anita Ash, Steve Booker, Carol Yanowski, Joanne Heinz, Faye Chernin, Nancy Judd, Cecilia Honig, Katie Kiss, Peter Hart, Ann Jackson, Jeff Lubin, Clinton Parks, Ryu Orara, Debbie Rubenstein, Dan Crabtree, Ali Hover, Glenn Hoffman, Linda Hoffman, Richard Blaylock, Felice Boucher, David Frost, Terry Krebs, Shaylee Hibschman, Shelley Leon, the Clary family, Matthew Sean Donahue, Jane Drapkin, Jack Michael, and Mary Ellen DeSantis, and A Street at Forest Park. If anyone else has a name they'd like to share at this time, please do so. The Misha Berach is on page 511, and we hold or 371, this is where the thing is, and we hold in our hearts all those in need of healing of mind, body, and spirit. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'imotenu, may the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha La'avotenu, bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We also hold in our hearts all those who are active military duty, first responders, and peacekeepers, those from our community whose jobs are dangerous so that our lives might not be. We have on that list Oni Hinnanen, Joshua Ehrlichman, Martin Brown, Howard Mergler, Kyle Smet, Jeremy Sharkey, Benjamin Hurd, Alexander Furman, Daniel Gilman, Curtis Miller, Caleb Menzies, Noah Kaplan, Aaron Breeding, Jacob Duvra, Janet Ingraham, Tyler Adcock, Corey Anderson, Tikva and Tiferet Jackson, Sam Lerman, Cerulean Walter, and all those in the armed services and on the ships at sea that tune in and watch us from our YouTube channel. May the one who blessed our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and our mothers Sarah, Rebekah, Leah, and Rachel, bless those who are serving in our armed services. May God guard them and keep them from harm. If they find themselves in danger's path, may God bring them back whole of mind and body to all those who love them. May it be your will, Adonai Tsebaot, to lead them to safety and to protect them from each and every enemy and ambush. May God make their journey successful and guard their going out and coming in with mercy and love, and let them be blessed to return home with life and peace now and forever. And let us say, Amen. Now it is time to count the Omer. The blessing can be found on page 570. And today is the 25th day. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer. Hayom chamisha v'esrim yom, shehem shalosh shavuot v'arba'a yamim la'omer. Today is the 25th day, which is 3 weeks and 4 days of the Omer. And the Kabbalistic realm for this day of the Omer is Netzach, which is persistence, eternity, endurance within Netzach, so double persistence. This week's Torah portion is Parashat Emor, which starts out with more laws regarding the priesthood, because we're still in Leviticus, including the requirement that the priests have no physical disabilities. Rambam adds that not only should the priests have no physical disabilities, but they should also be hot. Okay, he doesn't really quite say that. But he does say that the requirements for fancy priestly garments and the prohibition of disabled priests, which he does expand to priests of abnormal appearance, whatever that means to him, and also to Levites without a pleasing singing voice. He says these requirements are due to the fact that the multitudes do not judge a person on their character, but on the basis of their looks, and a holy office must be elevated for the appreciation of even these superficial masses. Now, just yesterday, I was listening to a Judaism Unbound episode about rabbis on the autism spectrum as part of their Disability Torah series. In the past couple months, Judaism Unbound has interviewed Julia Watts-Belser, a rabbi and longtime disability activist, Lauren Tuckman, the first blind woman in the world to be ordained as a rabbi, Sema Yoreh, a rabbi and liturgist who has written extensively about being a rabbi on the autism spectrum and about being the parent of an autistic child, and Jess Velasco, the founder and director of the Disability Justice Torah Circle. So although earlier in the week I was thinking more generally about the priesthood, the Parsha also talks about like who the priests can marry and how they can't go to a cemetery, and like there's other stuff. I really felt moved today to write about disability. And I knew I couldn't be the first to want to speak on this, so I looked up Parashat Emor and disability justice. And I found several really lovely divrei Torah that I wanted to share little bits of with you. Rabbi Chaim Steinmetz wrote in 2021 for the Jewish Journal about this parsha and talked about an adult B'nai Mitzvah he officiated in 2009 for a group of developmentally disabled adults. The date for the B'nai Mitzvah happened to fall on the Shabbat that Parshat Emor would be read, and he talks about the stark contrast between what the Torah seems to be saying and what the classical commentaries mostly affirm that the Torah is saying, contrasted with what he was seeing in his congregation that morning, as people who had been previously hidden away from synagogue life were given the opportunity to fully participate with pride and joy. Rabbi Dina Cohen's not only has a beautiful Devar Torah where she cites several contemporary disability activists and rabbis with disabilities, she opens with the most spiritual content warning I have ever seen. So I'm going to share that part with you. The Torah does not change, but we can, And in weeks where we feel that gulf between the words of our sacred text and the ways we live the values we hold dear, it is natural to feel uncomfortable, angry, rejected, resentful, or just perplexed. So I want to give you a warning that I'm about to dive into issues of disability, justice, and ableism, both in our Parsha and in our modern world. If that's going to be hard for you to hear, I want to bless your autonomy to leave the room. I'm going to use that. Bless your autonomy to leave the room. Rabbi Lauren Grable Herman calls the Parsha cringeworthy and references Pamela Schiller, a Jewish comedian and disability activist who teaches that Aaron speaking for Moses is history's first disability accommodation. Rabbi Lauren Tuckman writes about how painful Parsha Emor can be to read as a Jewish leader with disabilities, and emphasizes the ways in which we as progressive Jews have not appropriately struggled with this text the same way we have with regard to inclusion for women and the LGBTQ community. She challenges us all to really look squarely on this Parsha and on the ways our community may still be creating barriers for full inclusion for some with disabilities. Nick Dupree, a disability activist known for getting the Alabama legislature to change Medicaid laws to continue providing care for disabled adults, wrote about how this Parsha actually doesn't bother him at all. He points out how priests with disabilities were not cast out of their priestly homes and families. They still, or stripped of their titles, they're still referred to as priests, even though they can't bring the sacrifices. And they still eat of the holy leftovers with the women and children of the priestly families who also cannot physically offer the sacrifices. And while I still see a problematic infantilization of both disabled people and women in grouping them together with minors as inherently unable to perform priestly duties, Nick is certainly right to draw attention to how this may have been progressive for its time, that they weren't just cast out. He says that he sees Torah as presenting a utopia where everyone is given according to their needs and everyone works according to their abilities. At Ner Shalom, I know this is still something we wrestle with. We want our Gan Teva early childhood education and our religious school on Sundays to be accessible to all learners. We want our bathrooms to feel safe for all bodies. We want our beautiful outdoor space to be traversable for all mobility types. We want our prayer services to be intelligible to all hearing abilities. But I don't necessarily know how to accomplish all of these things, and the budget doesn't necessarily have the money to pay for the renovations and replacements that would best address these things, which is why we have been calling upon you this year to hopefully change these things as a part of our whole rejuvenation plans at the congregation. And if I could just wave a magic wand and make it happen, I would. I don't know who left this up here, but once I realized it was here, that felt like an opportunity I couldn't pass up. That's not written. Anyway, there's two other things that I want to say that I also didn't write down. One, because I just couldn't figure out how to weave it in seamlessly. But in the spirit of Netzach within Netzach, double endurance, and challenging ourselves to push through beyond what others might think we are physically capable of, I want to apologize in advance that I will be leaving Oneg immediately after the bracha because I am driving to Philadelphia tonight to do a Tough Mudder tomorrow. So wish me luck on that. And the other thing I didn't write because it hadn't happened yet when I wrote this is that earlier this evening, like right before you all got here, I was watching my friend's graduation ceremony on YouTube, the live stream. And her commencement speaker was trying to get people excited, which would make sense if it was really far into the service, into the ceremony, and he was worried about people falling asleep, but he was the second speaker. So I don't know why he kept being stand up if blah, 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 blah. But he kept saying it, and then the first time he said it 3 times. You just got your graduate degree, stand up if you have a great job lined up. And nobody stood, and he was like, come on, stand up. And I was thinking, Okay, so like having a graduate degree does not inherently mean you have a great job immediately lined up. First of all, like what economy are you living in, dude? And then Philip pointed out, because we were in a group chat together with the friend who was waiting to line up to graduate, she commented first, you know, we've just been standing for an hour and a half on cement because the undergraduate ceremony went over time, and so all of the graduate students had been lined up for an extra hour, just standing. And she was like, we don't want to stand anymore. And then Philip pointed out that this man, a huge part of his credentials is about disability activism. He wrote about having premature twins who, you know, he talked in his speech about his daughter was in the NICU for 6 weeks and then on a feeding tube for 6 years. And that's just how ingrained ableism can be sometimes, that even someone who raised a disabled child, who writes about medical accessibility, was telling this group of people, why aren't you standing? As though, like, everybody just has feet that just stand all the time. And so I just want to, like, point that out, that we all, no matter how much you think you're tuned in, we all could probably be a little more tuned in to this topic. So this Shabbat, let us honor the double endurance of this Omer night and push through any lingering fear, discomfort, and barriers that keep us from being fully inclusive to the disability community. May we soon find the resources we need. May we better express the love and inclusivity we feel. And may we be a kahila kadosha, a holy community for all who seek one. Amen and Shabbat Shalom. We turn now to our concluding prayers. I would like to invite Miriam back up to open the Ark for Aleinu and invite you all to rise in body or spirit to stand before the open Ark. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, lated gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'nemar, V'haya Adonai, Lemelech al kol haaretz, Bayom hahu, Yihyeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad. You may be seated. We turn our thoughts now to those who are no longer with us in body, but remain with us in spirit. This week marks a yahrzeit for Martin Friedman, Myra Wattenmaker, Charles Levy, Harry Gonick, Max Friedman, Bernard Manning, Carl Wattenmaker, and this week is the first yahrzeit for Ann Cohen. And we are still within the year of mourning for Shirley Shipp, Rich Travers, George Shuloff, Sylvia Datner, Leon Skolnick, Shirley Estes, Steph Nagowski, and Ina Vogel. If anyone else has a name they'd like to share at this time, please do so. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. Mourners and those who wish to join them may rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael v'agala u'v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ol'almei almayah. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yithalal, shemei d'kudashah b'rechu. Ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlam araba min shemaya, v'chayim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Please be seated. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru, amen. A few announcements before we close. First of all, sort of related to the topic of my Devar Torah, we want to give a special shout out this Shabbat, although he's not here to hear it, but John Brulette, it's also his birthday. I didn't even realize that, but just because, well, so happy birthday to John Brulette, but also a big shout out and thank you to all of the work that he's done to help Melody and our whole congregation to continue building the boardwalk using his woodworking skills for our accessibility pathway, and he's working with Sarah and Melody, Sarah Maynard, also to build a pavilion that we can enjoy shaded outdoor space, so for Gan Teva and for any of us when we have outdoor Shabbat. So he's using his skills for our community. If you got skills that, like practical skills that would benefit the community, we want to know that kind of stuff. Yes. And he has some cutting boards and charcuterie boards for sale in the Sisterhood shop. So when Andrea gets back from Australia and opens the shop again, you should be sure to check that out. I also want to thank our Oneg families, the Jensema and Slater families, for sponsoring our Oneg tonight, but I also want to thank Juliet, as always, for being the sisterhood member that does the shopping for our Oneg families when they're not able to be here. And she has also done almost all of the cooking for all of our Seders this grand year of the Seder. And even though she told me specifically she doesn't do blintzes, she has also volunteered to help with the Shavuot Seder already. So we just can't keep her out of the kitchen, and we love her for it. So thank you. Speaking of Shavuot, it is June 14th, I think. It's a Wednesday after public school gets out. So if you're a teacher or a student, you can come. Or if you have a flexible job and can come on a weekday anyway, we would also love to have you. But we're excited that it will be after school gets out. And we are doing a morning brunch Seder. Tomorrow, is Pride at the Manassas Pavilion thingy, you know, in Old Town Manassas, the big, yeah, that one, the Harris Pavilion. The Conversations, which is mostly made up of Ner Shalom members. It's not officially a Ner Shalom auxiliary group, but it might as well be. They have a table, so you should stop by. Oh, I didn't realize that. Ner Shalom also has an official table, separate from the Conversations table? Okay, so basically we have two tables, is what I'm hearing. So head down there. What time is that? 12 to 4. Next week is a busy weekend. It's Lag BaOmer is Saturday, so we have a full day of activities for, you know, like chunks of time for different age groups. That's all posted online. I'm not going to tell you each age group, but if you are between the ages of 3 and 25, it's a pretty big gap, you know, like look it up. There's a time slot for you. And Friday night, before Lag BaOmer, we're having a Tat Shabbat at 5:30, followed by a potluck dinner, and then family Shabbat at 7. So the potluck dinner is mostly intended for those who have children that are both Tat Shabbat and religious school age, so that, you know, they're here for both things. But you are also more than welcome to come around 6:15 will be dinner time to join us before Shabbat service starts at 7. Okay, I think that's the big stuff coming up. Did I miss anything big? Oh, Simchas, we wanted to open the floor. First, did I miss any big announcements? Oh, okay, yes. Yeah. If you haven't already signed up to volunteer for that, please do so. It helps out a Girl Scout project, and it helps beautify our building. Okay, now Simchas, okay?
My dad, Alex Libby, is also retiring on June 1st.
Yay, retirement.
From work.
From work, yeah. He is the previous president, the immediate past president for the next 6 weeks, whatever, until Ethan becomes the immediate past president. Yeah. Congratulations, Alec. Yep.
My daughter got married.
Woo! Congratulations to your daughter and to you. It's an exciting time. Anybody else? Simchas? Birthdays?
Mine did recently pass.
It did recently pass. That's true. It was last week? Yeah. Last Friday. Happy birthday. Oh, right. Didn't you say it's Lag BaOmer is on your birthday or something? Oh. Okay. Well, happy almost birthday. Well, remind us when it on this Friday closest. Okay. Wonderful. Well, our closing song tonight will be Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu on page 657. And Era's going to lead us in it, apparently. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Salam, shalom, peace.